Okay, g'day everyone. Welcome back to the Cert 4 in Business Administration and week 3 of our current unit. So today we're going to be looking at designing and developing complex text documents and week 3. So we'll be adding other complex tables and other data. So just letting Mark in. Welcome to Mark. So before that, just wanted to welcome you back again. Hope you all had a safe and happy Christmas, and you had some downtime. You had a bit of time to potentially look at your assignments and things like that. Hopefully you got to recharge your batteries, and if you've travelled anywhere, welcome back home. So it was good to chat with some of you over the break. There were some good questions came through, mainly about what date things were due, a little bit of guidance on some of the questions in the assessments. Hopefully the stuff that I gave you was helpful, but you didn't have to work too hard. But this year we got a little bit to get through, and I'll probably talk quite a bit about what's happening throughout the year, because today, like the session today, isn't too big. It's just about inserting tables and objects into Word, so nothing really complex there. But yeah, just having a look at what's been happening as we're going through the course with the assessments, and people that haven't been studying for quite a while, or finding it a little bit difficult to balance time and things like that to get things done. So going to have a bit of a chat about that today. So I'll just do a quick. So that's what we're going to look at today, adding data and adding tables and other data. So assessments. So something near and dear to everyone's heart. So we've got a bit of a break between this unit, which is completed at the end of next week, and then the start of the next unit. So quite a few people are still caught back in the first unit that we did, write complex documents. So there's a lot of people playing catch up at the moment. Some of you are moving ahead into this unit, which is great. But it's just sort of highlighting something to us that maybe people need some assistance with getting their assessments done, or maybe need some more closer guidance, maybe need some one-on-one time potentially to get through some things. But more than likely it's probably a fact about time management. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, because as you know from the first session, like I'm actually studying at the moment. I'm studying at university and doing my Cert 4 for training and assessment. So yeah, I know all too well how hard it is to juggle these things and keep on top of it. But what we don't want to see happen is people get in, especially like getting into this third unit, and then finding that they're still stuck back in the first unit, and then it just becomes like a very overwhelming mammoth task to get done. So that's certainly something we don't want to see happen, and we want to get on it early to make sure everyone gets through the course, and you get your qualification and the experience at the end. So on that, I'm just going to, sorry, just jumping ahead here. Okay, so we're going to have a bit of a look at what the year's going to look like in terms of what subjects we're going to touch on. But at the moment, given that there are some people behind, I just want to like remind us that all's not lost. We don't want to give up. It might seem that things are quite overwhelming and daunting when you just stand back and look at it and just go, wow, there's a lot of stuff to do here, but it certainly isn't impossible. We know that juggling your study, your work, family, and other commitments is tough. We do it, especially as an online student. It can feel quite isolating, and so that's the idea of actually being able to get on and have a chat like this, have a bit of that face-to-face, and have that reach back through the college, through email or whatever. But we do know it can be very tough, and especially for those who have returned to study after a while, or may not have studied it at this level before. So so we just want to reiterate a few things and come up with a few strategies that may be useful to you. And this is based upon our experience in the training world, and also as students ourselves, online, whatever different modes that we've studied before. So the biggest thing we can do is communicate. So if you are finding things a little bit overwhelming or tough, please, the earlier you can bring it up with us, the better, and we can get on top of things before they sort of become like a big issue. So, and that communication stretches to your work. Some of you have negotiated time during work to be able to go and sit through the webinars like you are today, or I know in other workplaces I've worked in, if people know that you are working towards a qualification, they do give you a bit of time to, or they will give you a bit of extra slack to be able to, allocate some time to study and assessments and so on, because hopefully that they get a reward on that investment in you as well, but also your family. And I know this is something that is a little bit tough in some families, with couples working shift or whatever, but just trying to make sure that your partner or significant other or family members are aware of what you're trying to achieve, and that you can bring them in and have like a bit of a team approach to you achieving your study, so that they can help enable you to do what you need to do. Planning, I'll have a bit of a talk about planning in the next slide, and just some things that work for me personally that you may find particularly useful. If you don't know where you're going, it makes it very hard to plan. So anything that you can do to help facilitate that will help you in the long run. And identifying and removing the barriers to effective study. It all sounds very good to talk about it, but to actually put it into practice is tougher. But if you do just sit back and have a bit of an assessment of, what am I doing that's not working at the moment, and how can I change that sort of thing? Being able to change things that are within your control. So some things are out of our control, but the things we can control, how can we maximise those sort of things? So, so they're the things that you can do. These are just some personal tips from me. Now, I'm a shocker for procrastinating, which is, I think many students do procrastinate. And then leave things to the last minute and try and get your assignments all done in a day, and inevitably it doesn't end up working very well. So, and I think a lot of the procrastination, especially in my particular case, does come from distraction. Like my partner lives interstate, which makes things very hard. So I've got a teenage son, and trying to get things done at home can be incredibly difficult. So if there are ways to minimise these distractions, which hopefully it does help with the procrastination side of things. That can go a long way to helping us. So a perfect example is me here today. I'm sitting there at the university in the library doing this webinar because I've got a house full of people, and there's no way in the world I'd be able to concentrate or get things done effectively from there today. So I decided that I'll come here today to get this done without any distractions. But procrastination is definitely a big thing. I don't think there is an easy answer to it, but there are ways that we can help minimise it. So planning now. I use a calendar. I've got 2 whiteboards, one upstairs, one downstairs, with everything I need to get done on it. So there is a continuous reminder for me what I need to get done, what dates I need to get done. And as I do them, I tick them off. So they're always staring at me and teasing me when I walk around the place, procrastinating. So I find that's a very effective thing to use. And recently through uni, I was introduced to a program called Evernote. It's a app on the phone. I can really recommend it. It is brilliant for notes, goal setting, calendars. It sort of combines a calendar with notes, with different checkboxes, and also you can add photos. You can do all sorts of things in there. So I've got photos of my whiteboards in there, and it's just it'll set alerts and things. So it's not, there's a lot of functions in there, but you don't have to use all of them, of course. But I just find it very effective. So with these tools, again, I come back to setting the goals. So for me, I set my due dates and then work back and see what I have to have done, and just set little goal posts in between, my where I currently am to where the goal is. So if you've got an assignment due, so for us, I'll talk about the due dates for things a bit later on, but we've got dates to work with, so we just have to sort of work back from there. Again, keeping them visible. So with your calendar, they're visible. On a whiteboard, they're visible. On the notes program, they're visible. Make sure that you just sort of you keep looking at them. You keep aware of them. It can get you can get quite anxious if you're continually leaving things go and they start to build up. But that's kind of the point. Want to make it so that you're motivated along the way to do these things. So keeping them visible. And of course, we've got to review our goals. Things happen. So I've got the next point there, anticipating and responding to contingencies, and these things happen. So, you can start getting into some good habits. Like if you have got a due date coming up, so something is due, setting your due date, don't set the goal as the date that the thing's due. Set it for 2 or 3 days beforehand, and wherever you can buy your time, I guess is a big takeaway from that. And in the previous webinar I did just before Christmas, I talked about the summative assessments for this particular unit. So summative assessment 1 and 2 are actually fairly straightforward. There's not a great deal to them. You can get them knocked over pretty quick, especially if you are reasonably au fait with Microsoft, and if you're confident with Microsoft, you'll be able to knock it over very quickly. It's not a huge assignment. And the knowledge assessment isn't particularly complex. So please, they're the things that you can do to buy yourself time. Like, for example, me, I've got my end of term assignment due. My end of term exam is on the 1st of February, and I know I've got 12 units that I have to go back and review between now and then. So I've just split those 12 units up between now and the 1st of February, with the amount of reading I have to get done each day, and I know I've got stuff coming up. So some days I'm going to have a bit more time. Some days I'm not going to have that time. So So buying that time where you can, and which gives you that little bit of flexibility to respond to contingencies as they arrive. So I spoke about distraction in the earlier point there. So this is again something that works for me. Learn to love your library. Like, I'm very fortunate where I am at Mawson Lakes here. I've got the university library, which is absolutely fantastic. It's especially this time of year, there's hardly anyone around. But it is one of those things that, for me, environment is a huge thing. So if I want to get into an environment that is conducive to study, I'll come down here. It gets me in the zone. I'm not going to get distracted by cats or anything like that. Cats, kids, yeah, family members. So when I come in here, it's almost like a subconscious thing that I'm in the study zone. And there's always a lot of room. You're surrounded by books and other people trying to achieve things. So, it's like a subliminal type thing, I guess. But if you've got a library or something that, you can buy yourself some very efficient use of time, I should say. Another little tip that works for me, with especially when I'm preparing lectures or doing my assignments or just doing research, gathering research reports, or so I can go and do a literature review or something. I'll use what I call a COFFIS. I haven't trademarked that name. I don't know if anyone's used it before, but that's exactly what it is. I've got a local coffee shop that's usually very quiet. I go and do all my stuff there. I'll do a lot of my stuff there, which which needs Wi-Fi or things like that. And it's a great spot just to do things. It's no stress. It's again, it's just an efficient way for me to do things. So, and that sub point I've got there, that it does, an hour there is worth more than 3 hours at my home doing things. So, so if you can start to think about, how can I incorporate that, and you go, well, I can't just go to the library. I can't just go to the library for an hour. That doesn't work. And you go, well, start thinking about, why doesn't it work? What other ways can I make that work? Give it a try. You might be surprised at how productive you can get there. And another thing is, especially like something like this course, you've got all the courseware is on Catapult. So if you do have your tablet or whatever, if you've got somewhere, you can go to the COFFIS, sit at the library, and just bring things up and just do opportunity type stuff, even if you get a couple of the formative assessments done, or just a bit of the reading or something. Just have a think about those opportunity type things. Again, buy yourself a little bit of time. You don't have to sit there and spend half an hour doing it. It might just be, hey, I'm going out, I'm waiting for the kids while they're doing something. I might just have a look at this. Buy yourself a little bit of time. So keep things handy. That's just another tip. A lot of these are common sense, but for whatever reason, we're human, and it's hard not to just go and grab your phone and check it, or check in on Facebook and check in, share your latest meal with someone or whatever you're going to do. But again, it's a time thief, and people say, I haven't got time to do these things. And you go, well, how much time do you spend on Facebook? How much time do you spend doing this? It's not about getting rid of things completely. It's just about taking control of those things, which could potentially be used more efficiently. And of course, our phones and social media do those sort of things, steal our time. For me, I like to allocate. Sometimes I'll allocate a whole morning, or a few hours after my wife gets home or whatever, to come down the library to do things. So if I do something like that, I'll always make sure I take a bit of a break and just a bit of a leg stretch, walk around routinely throughout. Keeping those breaks, going for a run or a walk or doing whatever you want to do, So you're not just going to sit there and suffer for 3 hours and get frustrated. So, remember that if you're going to do a bit of a hard session, so for a few people who are currently studying this course, like they probably will need to do a few longer sessions to play a bit of catch up. So so just remember, don't just drown in it. Make sure you get a bit of time to reset your brain and your sanity while you're doing the catch up and getting your assignments done. And this is a big thing, and something that I know me, I have to remind myself sometimes of why I do all this study, and you go, well, what led me to do this in the beginning? What's my goal? What do you want to get out of it? So, some people want to get a promotion. Some people, their work has put this forward for them to progress within their organisations or whatever. So it might be recognition. Some people are, because you've got all the experience, and it's like, well, I should have this. I should be recognised for this, for what I already know. So that certificate is quite important. So that's the reason. Do I want to be a supervisor? Do I want to be a team leader? Do I want to own my own business? Do I want to become an office manager? Or, for many it is a good stepping stone to university. And yeah, so it's just one of those things. You got to go remind yourself, why am I doing it? And put that at the forefront of all your goal setting. So with all of these things, so no matter what reason, why you're doing it, really at the end of the day, the skills that you're learning from this course, especially in time management and being able to meet deadlines and these sort of things, all fit in to each of those and more. So you're going to be met with deadlines in all these positions. So if you've been out of study for a while, coming back in and if you're struggling with this at the moment, this is the time to, go, right, I've really got to sort something out to make this work, because I'm going to need these skills, not just the qualification. I'm going to need these skills as I move ahead into these positions. So, which, may have greater ramifications if you don't meet those deadlines, or you don't have those skills to be able to do it. So sort of summarising all that, hopefully that kind of made sense. But yeah, so the enablers for success, and again, this isn't rocket science. This is, and you probably know exactly that these are the enablers for success already. That, planning, if you're not planning, you're just sort of reacting. We don't want to sit there and have to react to things, and I think that's possibly where some people will end up if we don't sort of get on top of things now. So planning is so important, and using tools that will help you with your planning. So your calendars, your whiteboards, sticky notes, things like that. Use that Evernote or whatever app you find that can help do that. Use these tools that are available, but and it all sort of comes back to being disciplined with your planning. The communication. So communication within your workplace, communication importantly with your family, because clearly that's a problem for a lot of people, mature age students, is having to, because your families they're going to have to wear some hardship. If you are going to be studying, they're going to have to help you. So if you don't communicate that, it's going to make it very tough. So so communication with your family and communication with the college. So I just can't stress that enough. Like, if there's something that you're stuck on, or something you feel like you're drowning, please just send us something and say, help. I need help with this, and so that's the first thing, because if we don't know that you are struggling, it sort of doesn't really become apparent until we sort of start looking at the assessment submissions and go, oh wow, these there's quite a few people behind in this area and this area, and that sort of harks back to a reactive sort of approach, which is what we don't want to be doing. We want to be planning and be partnering with you to plan for success. So, so please, the communication, which is good, we are getting communication, but I don't think we're getting enough. It's sort of not a very good reflection of where people might actually be struggling, and it might be something very, very simple. So I'll talk about a strategy. I don't know if it's on the next slide or a bit further on towards the end, but we are going to, within the, probably starting next week, early next week, we are actually going to start talking to people individually. So we'll be contacting everybody individually, just sort of at this stage of the course, and to say, okay, this is where you're at. What help do you need? Do you need one-on-one? Do you need like a tude session? So we'll actually do that individually with each person. So expect to hear from us, even if you're going well. Even if you are completely up to speed, we'll still contact you, and we'll be asking questions like, what is working for you? Because clearly whatever you're doing is working. So how can we inform the other students about different strategies that, that may or may not be the same as the ones I've just gone through. So that's the type of thing we will be doing, with the aim of having everybody up to speed and ready to go, and basically on track by the time we start the next unit. So hopefully that will work. Delegation, and again for people working, moving into supervisory roles. So if you've been in like a worker, like a admin type, like more entry level or a junior role, people do struggle, especially within the same organisation. So if you started your career in one particular spot and you've sort of slowly moved up the ranks in that particular area, it does become hard for people to delegate, I've noticed. So, but it is a very effective skill to have, and a necessary skill to have as we move into up into these supervisory, team leader, management type roles. So the delegation I'm talking about, just to put it into context here, is again probably more within your family, or those who are helping to support you to do your study. So learning to ask for help, and just, or not even ask, just say, I need you to do this for me so I can get this done, to help you meet those deadlines. So identifying parts of your life or of your work where you can find opportunities to delegate and get these outsource your duties or whatever to make things easier for you. So that will definitely help enable success, free up your time and resources as well. Balance is again something I'm not very good at, but trying to balance your study time with your personal time and fun time and downtime, those sort of things. So certainly recently I've been spending pretty much all of my time doing work study type stuff, and not a lot of time for downtime. But I'm aware of that, and I know it's something I need to do. But so when you're looking at your schedules, when you're looking at your calendars, when you're looking at planning, don't forget to, especially if you've got a lot of catch up to do, don't forget to have that time set aside for all the fun stuff and the stuff that's going to keep you happy and motivated. And for those who have seen who are aware of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about there. And discipline. So when we, the discipline is so big, and you know, it's the enemy of procrastination and and distraction. So yeah, learning that discipline, because you know, we're only fairly early on in this particular course. So the earlier we can get into these good habits, the more helpful it's going to be as we go through, and then as you move into the role that you're seeking to fill as a result of this completing the course. Yeah, here's the slide I was telling you about. So as I briefly spoke about, the next, or the last element of this particular unit is next Thursday. So that's element 4. So we'll have a 2-week break then. So I spoke to Ray. I think he's online here somewhere. But yeah, I spoke to Ray about having a bit of an opportunity for everybody to tidy up, get everything finished. So the outstanding assessments from the first unit, and then the assessments from this unit, having them all complete in time to kick off again with the 3rd unit on Thursday, the 7th of February. So to do that, we're going to set a goal to have everyone to have the first 2 units complete. So it's definitely not impossible. It can be done. So to help make sure that that happens, we'll be contacting everyone, as I just spoke about. We'll be contacting everyone to talk through the issues and what we can do to give the required support for the tutorials or whatever. We also have a new marker and assessor on board. So Stu, he's been with Enable for quite a while. He teaches the Cert 4 in mental health, but he's also got qualifications in leadership and management. Very good guy, very experienced guy. So he's starting to do marking and assessing for this particular course as well. So so next week I'll be hopefully be able to get Stu online to have a bit of a chat with you guys and introduce himself, and also yeah, we'll talk about the next 2 weeks after next week, and getting all the assessments completed and how we can do that. Okay, so yeah, you'll look forward to meeting Stu. He's a very good guy, a very down-to-earth guy, and yeah, he's looking forward to being on board with this course. So I spoke to him just before Christmas, and yeah, looking forward to having him. So this is just a bit of a teaser, I guess, for what's going to be happening for the rest of the year. Just to help put things in a bit of context, I guess, and see where we're at. So, as you can see, that was our first unit, write complex documents. So, a lot of people have finished that, which is great. Some people have still got catch up to do there. So each of those elements equate to a week. So, yeah, that guy was done. We're here today with this one. And then as we move forward, these aren't in order, but yeah, I'll be sitting with Stu and Ray working out exactly what order we'll be doing these in. So you can see there's some quite interesting stuff that we'll be looking at, and yeah, so some of the units will be 5 weeks, some will be 3, some will be 4. So it just depends on the content. The 2 weeks at the end of each at the end of each unit isn't going to be a given. It'll be sort of, we'll sort of see how people are going, and we've sort of been a bit kind with the first 2 units to give the extra 2 weeks to get things completed. But if you like doing maths in public, you'll see that all of these elements all add up to about 40. So equivalent to around 40 weeks worth, plus whatever extra time we think might be needed to get the assessments done. But yeah, so I'm not sure if you've seen this before, but yeah, so it's just a bit of an overview of what we'll be looking at through the year. I won't go through these. I'll just leave these slides up for a few seconds, and then I'll move on to the next. But this is just directly out of the unit of competency from each unit that we'll be doing throughout the year, just to sort of give you a bit of an overview of the purpose, what's going to be looked at, and what the competency is for each of these units that we'll be looking at throughout the year. So I'll just leave these up for a few seconds, and then just for those who will be watching a bit later on as well. So you may not have seen this unless you go to training.gov.au and put in the unit of competency. So if you type in that code at the top, you'll be able to see, and it goes through each of the elements, each of the performance criteria and so on. So. Last but not least, WH&S, everyone's favourite. So yeah, but of course WH&S is a very big part of everything we do now. So, and especially if you're in a leadership managerial role, there's a lot of responsibilities around it. So, so that's why we've got to do it. Same with the risk. Okay, so hopefully I don't crash the system as I go across, and I'm just going to go into, are we going for time? Okay, yep, got the time to go through this. Oops. Okay, so into what we're really covering today, but I hope you found that useful. I'm just going to unmute Hayley. Hayley, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, you go. So did that kind of make sense? A lot of that stuff. It did.
No, it's good.
Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly how you're going along, how you're finding it, and those sort of things. But have you got anything you'd like to, anything that you found that potentially could help people, or challenges, I guess, you're finding?
Just with like the Christmas period, I guess, because so much going on, I didn't really find much time to study. But
yeah,
I've almost finished Unit 1.
Yeah.
So hopefully I should be able to submit that by next week, hopefully. So
yeah. So are you finding things that are working or aren't working for you, like to
Yeah, mine's just a time thing because I work full time, like you said, family and kids are on holidays. So but that's maybe, I guess I just got to schedule my study a bit better.
Yeah, and and if we, if there is a way, like hopefully the idea of having us, like, everyone talk to you individually about things and seeing where we can help out with that, because you know, there might be things that you're stuck on, and you're just going, oh, I don't want to look silly asking a question or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I
like,
know what you mean.
Yeah, because I'll just give you an example. With my university, I'm doing psychology, and we've got a forum. So we've actually got a discussion forum, and the amount of people, you know, you're just sitting there going, I've no idea what that means, but I'm not going to put my hand up. It's funny. As soon as someone puts that post up, it just goes viral. Everyone's going, I was going to ask that, but I didn't want to sound like an idiot. But you know, it's So, there could be that element there as well. But
it all sort of makes sense, I guess, because I work in the industry anyway. So it's just just a time factor thing. So
no, that's good. No, that's excellent. All right. Well, I'll see. Mark's here. I'll jump on and see what Mark's got anything to add.
Okay.
Thanks, Hayley. Cheers.
No worries. Thanks, Paul.
Cheers. Hey, Mark. How are you?
Hi, Paul. No, it's all good. I'm the same boat with Hayley. It's just probably just tidying up the loose ends and just submitted the assignment because I've worked full time as well. But just like what you said, you just needed some discipline, because at the end of the day, we need to block out days and times, and when it is, you know, small 2-hour block, 3-hour block would really help. So I've got lots taken there on your tips, and looking forward to completing the assignment. So just to clarify, once we have done all the requirements, the summative assessment, things like that, is that the time that we just click submit?
Yes. So once you've completely finished all of your formatives and summatives, and you do the save and submit, and then it sort of locks you out once you've put it in. So as you go through your catapult, just hit save until you're completely happy with everything. So
submission is technically just really, you know, submit all the answers for that in it.
So you put in your documents, you've done everything, you go, all right, I'm happy that I'm completely done. Save and submit.
Sure. All right, thanks. So, that's all. Thank
you. And one of the other things we're actually going to look at talking to people when we get in touch with everyone individually is what people's thoughts on potentially doing study buddy. You know, I don't know if you have got people like friends on this course, but I know that is something that can be really helpful, just to be able to brainstorm and collaborate a bit. So whether or not people.
So how would it work then? Is it through Zoom as well? How can we communicate with each other like study buddy?
I guess it depends on your location.
Emails?
Yeah. I say it'd depend on your location, but I know for me, like, because I study through Armidale, so I don't know anyone in Adelaide that's doing the study I'm doing, and that's probably that isolating, how, you know, it can feel isolating. But, you know, there's no reason people can't actually use Zoom, because Zoom is actually a free program for people to use. If there's only 3 of you, I think if there's more than 2, you have to have the subscription like we have. So, but if you did find someone, like, and that's something we can ask, like if we bring Hayley next week and say, hey, you know, would you be interested in doing study buddy with someone, you know, and we basically will just keep a tab and say, hey, these people are happy to share their email addresses, and you can, or you know, because that's what Zoom works on is via email address. So, anyone can start so we'll just find who wants to be involved in that sort of thing, and then just put it out that way, maybe. But I was talking to Ray this morning about things like, you know, if people did want to come in, like having that regular session at the college, if people did want to come in and do those sort of things, or I'm not sure what it will look like. It'll probably look different for different groups of people, but because we got students from Clare, we got students in Mawson Lakes, Cowandilla, Adelaide, right down south. So, you know, might find that there's people there who because for me, I prefer to catch up face to face. Yeah, come to the library and do something. But yeah, but I think it's definitely something worthwhile mention and see how receptive people are to it. And I'm sure there will be quite a few. Yeah, because it is good to have that bit of motivation there with someone else. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for that. And I just got to run through quickly how to put a table and some things in, and like some rows and columns and charts. So I'll do that, and then we'll let you go. I think it's almost 10 o'clock, but this won't take too long. Right. Excellent. Thank you. Alrighty, sorry about that. Okay, so today's about putting in tables and putting in some other objects. So we'll just quickly go through this. It's fairly straightforward. So when we're looking at putting in tables, we can, there's 3 different ways we can do it. There's probably others, but the ones that we'll look at. So if we're going to whack in a table, we're just going to put some data in. So a 3x3 table. So first way is just to go up to the ribbon and do it that way. So we can do a table that way. Another way to do it is also to go into Excel. If it'll open up for me. Here we go. So we can go into Excel when it opens, and this is probably the most common way we do tables. For me anyway, I'll do all my stuff in Excel, use all my little formulas and macros and whatnot, and do whatever I need to do, and then do the old copy and paste into the Word document once it's all done. So I just find it's a little bit easier to manipulate on Excel to do all the things I need to do with the borders and shading and any formulas and stuff that we need to do. And then the third way we can do it is just again from the tab. So just whack in a table here. With these ones, so if you notice in Word, so this is something you may not have noticed before, but when you move your cursor around and then jump in to something that's kind of editable or whatever, it'll come up with its own little these own little tabs here. So you see if we're playing with tables, you get these tabs available to you. If you're just in Word, those tabs disappear. So that's just a little tip if you haven't seen those sort of things before. So when we look at the table properties, we can double click on the little cross here. We can play with our alignment. We can play with the text wrapping, so where the actual table is going to fit. So if it's like some sort of newspaper article sort of thing, you can put the table in there and let the text go around it. You can move them all around here. We can have a look at, you can change the heights, you can change heights, widths, all sort of things just by editing in there, by double clicking on the cross. When we're looking at the cell, something that people who may not have used Excel or tables a lot, when they type into tables, they find their text gets stuck on one top or bottom or whatever. Normally at the top when you write your text, and it all looks out of place. But you can change the where that sits in here and in other places as well that I will show you. Yeah, so that's basically inserting the table. When we're coming to shading, again, when I'm going into here, if I want to make a nice header line here and make it stand out a bit, you can change the colours doing that way. There are other shortcuts to do this sort of thing, but that's probably the most standard way, is just to use it directly from the ribbon. And Word also gives you some free options here to format the tables. So they've got some nice little color-coded things. If you're lazy, or you just want to put in a quick table and make it look a bit interesting, you know, you can change things directly from these little shortcuts in the styles here. So if you just want a standard one, it's the option there. Borders and shading. So with the borders, we can make them bold manually like that, or we can apply it to the whole thing. Sorry, I'm just moving out my little windows with all you guys on there. So we can do that through these here. So the best way to play with tables is actually to get on and literally go on and play. And just explore all these little buttons and what they actually mean. So it's quite intuitive, Microsoft Word. So that the best way is to actually go on and just have a bit of a play. And then if you have got a particular style that you want to save, you can either save it in as its own file, or there are actually functions within Word, depending on what version of Word you got. You can actually save it as a particular style and keep it as a shortcut up here. Okay, so that's borders, shading. You know, there's ways that we can insert and delete rows. So we can insert and delete rows just by going to the end and hitting enter. There are ways that we can do it by the shortcut buttons here. So we can insert rows above, insert them below, add a few extra columns this way. So we can go that way. It's actually quite easy. Another function that you'll probably have to do a bit of is merging cells. So that makes it all in nice one cell. You can split them. We can we can delete rows easily. So we can delete the rows, shorten things out a bit. Yeah, so again, it's just one of those things. If you get on there, have a bit of a play, and you'll probably discover quite a bit. In the Catapult, in the e-learning material, you will see as you go through, it goes through quite a lot of other functions that you can do with the tables, and it is specific to your version of Word. So again, that was why it was at the beginning of the module. We said make sure that you've got the right version of Word for Catapult that you've got with your whatever document you're using. So this is Mac. Office 16 for Mac is the one that I'm using, and I've discovered that there are quite a lot of functions which aren't exactly different, aren't exactly the same as what Microsoft Word 2016 for like a standard operating system. Yeah, so just follow along. The assessment items that you've got to do for tables and things like that are very, very straightforward. So there's nothing really funky you've got to play with in there to get your assessments done. So merging and splitting rows and columns, sort of gone through that. There is a function in here for a formula. So you may not have used this one before in Word. Again, this is why I use Excel before I do things. But for example, if you just wanted to add, if you've got some figures there that you want to add up, you can use the functionality in here. So again, this will be specific to your version. and it'll add it up. So same here, if I go add some numbers there, you'll see it'll come up some left and it'll add things up for you. So there are little functions in there that you may not be aware of, but again, how useful is it? Who knows? It depends on your on what you're using your tables for. But generally for us, it's it'll be presenting some sort of data, not actually working stuff out for you. That's what we got Excel for. Yeah. So again, a lot of this is quite intuitive. Just show you what I was talking about with the text direction here. So you got these little, you can move your text around in here depending on your level of OCD. So yeah, so we can center things and play around with that. So touched on formula. The only other thing really that I want to go in is, so inserting pictures. You may have done this before. So there are different ways you can insert pictures. So you can go and grab them directly off another program or off the net and paste them directly in into your document. So I'll just quickly grab a random photo. Probably come up with a cat on here. There's guaranteed to be a cat. There you go. That's my guy there. So it's inserting, resizing, and again, so you see if we jump over here, the ribbon changes. So we've got nothing there, but as soon as we click on the picture, it gives us all these little different options that we can do. So again, if you're going to play with photos, I'd recommend playing with it before you paste it in, but you can jump in here and do all sorts of things which, you know, may or may not be useful. But again, we want to keep things as simple as we can when we're creating professional business documents. So again, go and have a play. Having a look at one of the things that does get people stuck sometimes is if we've got some data here. So I'll just quickly, sorry, my computer's having a little, so I'm just going to rack some random words in here. Oh. So this can get people mixed up. They go, oh, hang on, can't move this. So we jump on here and we wrap the text, because this might be something you want to put behind the text. So people can get a bit messed around with things like that. So that's probably something you will do. And then if you want to put it in front of the text, you sort of want it floating. You can do those sort of things. So again, good idea just to go on and have a bit of a play. I'll finish up with so shapes, inserting shapes and things like that. It's the same process, just slightly different things available to you up on the ribbon. But your assignment does talk about putting a watermark on. So I'm just going to get rid of Sherlock. So it talks about putting a watermark in, and now this is something that you probably will do if you are writing a fairly decent sized document. You can add these just to make sure the thing doesn't go into printing, and it's very clear. So most normal one, the most common one I've used is using the draft, and so if we print something out, especially if you're going to print it or distribute it, you want to get make it very clear that this isn't the definitive document. This is draft. So this is actually in your assessment for this week, for this unit, I should say, to put in a watermark. So again, not particularly complex, not hard, but that will apply to each page that that you put. So yeah, so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So again, like I said, nothing particularly complex in there. Just follow along in your catapult, and you'll see, and it'll match to your version, and you'll see some other little functions in there that you may not have seen before. But again, like I said, the assessments for this particular unit are quite straightforward. Nothing too complex in there. So yeah, today we did talk a lot about other stuff, but yeah, we're just talking about standard tables, changing cells. We're doing short shadings and borders and merging and all those sort of things, formatting the rows and columns, and then yeah, playing with images and other data. So other things that you might need to put in would be a graph. So again, quite a straightforward thing. You can do it in Word or you can do it outside of Word, whatever you want to do. But there are ways to do it, and things like smart art and those sort of things. Like I don't really know if I'd ever put something like that into a professional document. You know, putting little bubble people or whatever in there. But who knows what you do? But yeah, so it's quite intuitive, and as iterations of Word come along, they always find new things to put in. So yeah, some key points. Make sure the catapult matches your Word version. Work through the material. If you find something on your as you're going through things, and there is so much stuff on YouTube. There are people that, for whatever one reason or another, spend their lives slaved over laptops, coming up with videos on how to play with things in Word. So thanks to the nerds out there that do that. But there is some really good stuff out there that people use and little workarounds and things. Yeah, so they were the objectives of today. So yeah, moving forward. So I won't harp on too long. We've gone a little bit over time. Sorry for that. But yeah, the learning support material. So part 3 for this week. Go through that. 8 and 9 are the formatives for this week. Start looking at the summatives if you haven't already. And I'll just again reiterate that 1 and 2 are a good way to get ahead of the game. So just keep that in the back of your mind. We've got the Survey Monkey that was sent out before Christmas. So if you haven't done that, please jump on and see if you've got any stuff for us. But as I said, we will be touching base with everyone individually. So that'll be its own little survey. But if you can do that as well, that'd be great. So the next and final session for this unit next Thursday at 10. And it'll be produce documents, and then we'll have a 2-week break after that. So thank you very much for your attention today, and I'm glad you all had a safe Christmas and you made it back all right. And thanks for your participation and feedback today. Really appreciate that. And if I don't speak to you beforehand, we'll catch you next time. Okay, have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers, guys.